Welcome to another exciting episode of Barbershop Talk. But this week we'll be talking about ways in which you can save money and probably become more mindful of where your money is going. We will also review ways to stay on track with general expenses and have a plan to reduce your debt. Today, our guest speaker is none other than Mr. Cortez Jones from the ESL Bank. He's the bank manager in Culver, am I correct?
Actually, the Kodak office now over at State Street.
All right. So, Mr. Jones, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with the ESL Federal Credit Union. This is officially my 15th year anniversary year. As you can see my pin here. But I've been a member of this organization for 17 years. I did 2 years through a summer internship, employment opportunity through the Rochester City School District. ESL kept me on for a couple years, providing me with opportunities to work while I finished high school, and then took the opportunity in 2005 to become a full employee of this institution. And they've supported me ever since with college and post-college life and all that good stuff. You know, I have no complaints. ESL is truly a great place to work. So I thank you for that.
Yes, sir. And for the viewers, me and Mr. Cortez go back, man. We go back probably 3-4 years. He has always been
more than that, man.
Yeah, you know, we get old. We get old, but yeah, we go back, man. And you know, he's always a person that is ready to come and share his wealth of knowledge about financial readiness and how to prepare yourself and get out of certain situation as it relates to finances. So he has always been there for me, the community, and I really thank him for joining us today on this virtual barbershop talk segment. Before in the past, we had it, you know, face to face with a room full of individuals, and we had like an open discussion for anyone to ask questions. And you know, he's always been very good with providing information and just following up with them with where they are. But today, it's a different ball game. You know, we're doing this Zoom, and we're just going to start off by saying, in the past, a lot of families, a lot of individuals have received the stimulus check, and there might be a second one coming. We're not sure. It was up for vote and it got turned down. We might get another one. I'm not sure. But if in the event that we do receive a second stimulus check, what should I do with that? Should I spend it all right now? Should I save it? Should I use a half of it, put down a half? What do you recommend to the people that we do with that second check if we get one?
So given the theme that we are, you know, certainly in a pandemic, a global pandemic right now, and we want to learn how to, you know, survive financially through these times, and the times are still uncertain for us. And I think the way I would answer that question is to encourage everyone to be intentional with their savings. Because there's so much uncertainty, we've seen a lot of folks lose their jobs. So having the safety net of an emergency savings is something that we've always advocated for in the financial literacy industry. And I think this answer is, you know, boring as it may be, mundane as it may be, you know, it's still valid, you know, even though we're in a global pandemic right now. You know, finding ways to be intentional about your savings will cover you in the future. And the same goes with the times that we're in right now. So really being very intentional with, you know, hey, if I wasn't going to get this money, what would I be doing, right? Most of us would be finding a way to support ourselves the best way we can. Understanding that, you know, the stimulus is issued to help us because there are so many difficult times and things going on financially for folks. I still encourage people to be very diligent and intentional with their savings with that money. If there's any way that they can shift, you know, some of that to a savings account to just stay there, you know, in the event of an emergency, especially during this pandemic where, again, we have so much uncertainty, I think would be the most wise thing that anyone could do, you know, with any stimulus funds that have come or will come our way.
Right. Okay, so for the next question I got, um, so right now my wife and I we are financially stable right now.
Hmm.
A lot of people might not have that same situation going on, but don't for the long term ramifications of this pandemic, right? Are there any financial actions we can or should be taken now to safeguard ourselves and our family?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the same theme in terms of the savings. You talk about the safeguard piece, right?
Mhm.
So the safeguard that we have is to be able to have a savings account, that we've established that's, secure enough and ready to sustain for 3 to 6 months if need be. That's the safeguard, right there. If you are financially stable right now and we're looking into a future that's uncertain, then you certainly want to bolster up that, safeguard. And you want to, be very intentional with saving more because times are uncertain and we've seen the damage that the pandemic has already caused.
Mhm.
And so I think that's cause for us to be smart and wise heading into the next year and understanding what may lie ahead, with our finances. And, that's the uncertain part. And we want to make sure that with the uncertainty, we have our safeguard in place, which is our savings.
Right. So for like student loans, like if my student loans are deferred until September,
Mhm.
should I keep making payments or should I wait? I'm talking we're right now in November. If it's for next year, should I still pay on this or should I save the money and wait? Will it accrue interest? Or what's the drawbacks for doing that?
Mhm. The simple answer is if you can afford to, then you should. Um, Obviously, there are many student loan companies who have, made some accommodations with their customers to make sure that during this time, their accounts and their status won't be affected if they can't make a payment. So the option of not making a payment is there if you can't. But the advice, obviously, from a financial standpoint, is you can't afford to make the payment, make the payment. Like you said, you made mention, sometimes the interest will keep accruing.
Yeah.
And so if you can make payments, you will be, in essence, mitigating any additional or compound interest that may come along with a deferment or a delay in your payments. So if you can keep on schedule with making your payments, again, if you can keep on schedule with making your payments, I think it's important to do so because that's going to mitigate any extra interest that you would have to pay given, a hiccup or two in your payment cycle.
Okay. All right. Um, so if I'm unemployed due to COVID-19, should I navigate unemployment right now?
Without a doubt. The most important thing is, contact the New York State Labor Department, go through the process. Everything that it is outlined for you to do in this situation where you don't have employment, you want to be very diligent and follow the instructions the way it should be done. You need help. And I think the country has identified in many different states that, the unemployment benefit is so necessary to a lot of folks. And so if you are unemployed, especially during this time, strongly encourage you to follow the process that's out there to get in contact with the New York State Labor Department and follow the process for seeking benefits.
All right. And I'm not sure if you know anything much about unemployment. I'm going to ask you this one. I know a lot of people, they get the unemployment, but they probably do a part-time job at the same time.
Mhm.
Is that something you advise people to do or to be careful with that?
If that is allowed, given the New York State Labor Department laws and how the unemployment benefit is
Mhm.
administered and governed, then, sure. But again, that's part of my encouragement for folks to be, follow the rules, the process for what it says you should be doing,
Mhm.
the do's and the don'ts of when you're signing up to accept those benefits.
Mhm.
There are ramifications, and you want to be very mindful of what they are, and follow the process to a T when you can. Another, point that I would hit on with that, if you are unemployed, because of the global pandemic, if you have any debt obligations with creditors, I think it's very important to communicate with them. A lot of folks have this stigma that, if I can't pay, I don't want to talk to the lender because I'm in trouble.
Right.
And that's something that ESL has worked, very hard to sort of tear apart. We don't want that mindset. We're here to help our customers. And so we encourage all of our customers, whether they have loan obligations with us or other financial institutions, if they become unemployed due to the global pandemic, they should communicate to their lender and see what opportunities are there for them.
Yes, I definitely remember seeing that earlier in the year. The lenders, especially for mortgages and car payments, they had some programs going through at that time for deferrals. So I know a lot of people jumped on that. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it in time.
Yeah.
I would have definitely used it, but definitely if you are in that situation, folks, definitely call your lenders and follow up with that and see what is out there for you. And following, piggyback on that, the
Sure.
time right now, the house market is, man, the prices are going up. People are thinking that the prices for homes right now would have been down, the car prices will be down, but it seems like it's like a steady flat line, or in some cases just going up. It's not a good time to buy a house. It's not a good time to invest in real estate. What you got to say about that?
Yeah. So in terms of, buying a home, that answer would be specific to a person or a family's situation, thinking about, what is fueling their desire to buy a home, and is it the appropriate time? And when I talk about the appropriate time, that's, following the steps that one would need to take in general, for saying that they're ready to take on this commitment. So that's getting pre-approved, making sure your income is where it needs to be, and so on and so forth. If you are a person who has not done that, then I think that there may be, a little bit more room for, getting ready, for that point. But your question is about this current market, and
Yeah.
if the current market should encourage or discourage folks from buying. Although it won't be a clear answer, here's what folks have to grapple with. Like you said, this market, especially for residential purchasing, folks purchasing their homes or first homes,
Mhm.
you know, there's been a pent up demand here in Rochester, and the sale prices on the homes have gone up. I think it's well documented. If you look at the news and other financial indicators, it's a very strong competitive market.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of factors into that is there's also a shortage of inventory of houses for
Exactly.
residential purposes as
Exactly.
well. So when you have that dynamic, that also, increases the demand and drives up the price.
So you're saying basically,
So
let me cut you. You're saying basically there's not much new development going on now for new homes. So then the prices for the homes that are already in existence, if they put them for sale, the price will definitely go up because the demand is heavier.
what I would say to that is there isn't enough development relative to the demand, right? So there could be an uptick in development
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the last 5 or 6 years. I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. I don't have true numbers.
Right.
So let's just say there could be an uptick, but given where the demand is right now, maybe that uptick still doesn't meet the demand. So maybe there is still more development happening, but what we do know is a fact is that the demand is very, very high, and it's causing the home buying process to be very competitive for home buyers.
Wow.
Yeah.
When will this end, man? When you think?
Well, who knows? We all wish we could have the crystal ball. You know, if if we talk about when will this end, does that also come with some negative effects to the local economy or the national economy? We do have to be mindful of that as well. So, who knows? But I think, given where the situation is in Rochester currently, I think that if you're a person who is ready for that challenge, right? So you know that your credit is good and you know that your income is solid and you are ready for this financial commitment, I think it's something that you should go for. I don't think that you should be discouraged or sit on the sideline to wait because, again, you don't have that crystal ball either. So who knows if this is the beginning of a new normal, for this area.
Yeah. That's
We
scary.
just don't know.
Yeah, it's really scary to think about. But prayers, man. Let's just hope that this thing it plays out good for everybody. I just hope. Another question I have for you, Cortez, is for individuals who want their credit score to be improved, uh,
Mm-hmm.
or to get the credit score back up, get out of debt. What are some things you could share with us to do to just get that score back up to the basic or the minimum average to get a loan, to get your credit cards or a car payment or even a mortgage? What can you say about that?
I think it starts fundamentally with being engaged with your personal credit and your credit report on an ongoing basis. There are so many digital platforms these days that are offered through different financial institutions and other organizations to help consumers stay on top of their credit. So one of the questions I always ask folks who are very interested in building their credit or rebuilding their credit is, how are you monitoring your credit today? So being engaged with your personal credit report and understanding, where you stand and, what types of red flags might be out there is, I think, the first step that one needs to take in terms of figuring out how to enhance their credit rating. And above and beyond that, making sure that your credit line utilizations are low. So if you are someone who has existing credit lines and you see that you are close to the max or over 70% utilization, you should definitely be, aggressive and intentional in paying that down. The lower your utilization is on your lines of credit, the better your credit rating should be for the long term.
Yeah.
So, whether you are someone, again, if you have an existing line of credit or someone who's considering, getting a new line of credit, right? The same advice would still go to that person. Make sure that you use this new line of credit with good diligence and intent, and make sure that you keep your utilization as low as possible. And, some folks have different numbers for where they would like to advise folks to keep their utilization. I usually encourage folks to keep it around 50% or below.
All right.
Yep. And then, moving on from that, your payment history is the most important component of your credit. So, you want to make sure that any credit obligations that you establish with a financial institution, you make those commitments every single month. And again, if you are in jeopardy of missing a payment, you certainly need to communicate with the financial institution to see if there are ways that they can help you so that your credit doesn't take a hit unnecessarily.
All right. Helpful tips. I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody does. All right. So, Mr. Jones, appreciate you coming in today, talking to us about all these financial wealth and knowledge that you are willing to share with us and how we can help ourselves out with this climate right now that we are in. And for everybody watching, Mr. Cortez Jones, keep calling him T. Cortez Jones.
Right,
He's downtown in the Kodak Center right there, ESL Bank. He's a bank branch manager right there. So please stop by and ask for him, and he see if he can set you up with an account or anything else they got going on in the financial area. He'd be gladly willing to help you out with that.
Yeah, my office is located at 377 State Street, the Kodak World headquarters. We have many different options for parking, whether that's street parking or we have 2 different parking lots for our customers. So I welcome anyone who would like to sit down and talk about their personal finances. And, you know, that's what ESL has always been about in the community. And I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be here and continue the financial literacy efforts that, you know, we together have put forth in this community. I think it's something that our community has appreciated, as I've had many students from your class come to see me personally and leverage the opportunities that we have here at ESL Federal Credit Union. So I appreciate that, and I'm here to, you know, speak and counsel anyone who's in need.
All right. All right. You hear from the man himself, Mr. Jones. I appreciate you, man. Respect. All right.
Yes, yes,
And
indeed.
for now, everybody, we'll see you next time on the Barbershop Talk. You take care of yourself.